Okay, so to give a little backstory, I know that you guys were able to talk about it on your own show, but Giovanna, how did you and Kurt get together? Give me the little romance story of you falling in love with Kurt Angle and now having 6,000 children together.
Oh, 6,000, and we're gonna stop there. You know, I was in my 20s. I met Kurt doing I was trying to get my shit together. I know in the podcast it sounds like I was like all in the acting industry. I was just having fun, dude. So I just kept crossing paths with Kurt, and it was like fate. I met him in this independent movie, which was luck. It was all luck. And I ended up being friends with somebody, you know, one of his friends, and he was going through his problems with his DUIs. And long story short, my mom ended up getting his number because
your mom got involved?
My mother. See, I had to tell this. You know how many times I told this story and I didn't involve my mother? So I had to tell this story on my podcast to give, okay, mom, it's because of you. All right. Everybody knows you're the one that got us together. Okay. So I ended up going to the Arnold Classic with his friend, and she took us because he had his DUI. He wasn't allowed to drive. So she took his car. We went to the Arnold Classic, which was such a blast. It was so fun. Like I actually was eating like I was eating donuts while these bodybuilders are all fit. I was like, oh fuck. Well,
that's some kind of fetish class or something of like just like looking at shredded people while eating bad food.
I swear to God, like,
feel the weight coming on you, right?
Yeah. Oh my God, I was so guilty. I was like, oh, but she lost the keys, and me being the baby, my mom saved the day. I called my mom. I was like, Mom, we were 4.5 hours away. And I called my mom and I was like, Mom, I'm stuck in Ohio, Cincinnati. Can you please go to Kurt's house and get the spare keys? And she was like, okay. Like my father worked night shifts. So she was like, I got to do it while your father's sleeping, honey, you know? So, she's one of those moms, man.
Oh my God.
And she went to Kurt's house. She called me. She's like, you know, this is Kurt Angle's house. I was like, yeah, Mom. Okay. So she grabbed his keys, drove all the way to Ohio. And it was the funniest shit because I still remember to this day. She threw the keys at me. She's like, bye, honey. Be safe. I've got to go back to your father before he wakes up.
That's so great.
Your mom deserves this credit. I'm glad that you're giving your mom her credit. You better.
All right. Yep. She gets it. She got the credit, but the crazy ass freaking saved his number. So,
that's awesome.
She's cool as shit. So she saved his number. It's been like 6 months later. I was in class. She texts me and she says, you got to call me. I thought it was important. I get out of class. She said, Kurt, you know, I feel so bad for Kurt because he was on the news again because of his, you know, his troubles. She's like, you got to call Curdy. Like she freaking knows him. Like, oh, you call him Curdy. Curdy. You know how they're all moms are dramatic. Yeah, you got to call him. Mm-hmm. He probably needs somebody to talk to. And I'm like, Mom, he don't know me like that. Like,
take care of him.
Like she's so motherly. Yeah. Like she'll take care of anybody. She'll
so
see nurturing. A puppy. She's so nurturing. She'll help out anybody. She's that type of person. And I didn't know the crazy broad saved his number. And she was like, you gotta call him. Send me his number. Mom. Thank you, Mom. Okay, 4 kids later. Thank you, Mom.
Oh my gosh.
So she gave his number. I was like, you know what? I'm a good person. You know, if I don't call him, God forbid something happens, I'm going to hear it from the day I die. My mom said, you should have called him. So I called him and I was just like, no, I texted him and I said, hey, I'm here if you need anything. I'm Giovanna, you know, this is Giovanna, So he called me and I was walking right back in class and I did a UE and I walked right back out and I was like, okay, he's called me. So he's like, Giovanna, I'm so glad to hear from you. Strangely, I saved your mom's number because I was going to call you and ask for your number.
That's so great.
So these
God.
two,
I want that hot one right there.
These two crazy nut jobs. They sent me So I was thrown in the mix. So, it's crazy because it's like we needed each other at that. Like, it's like we needed each other.
Yeah.
I didn't know I needed him, but I needed him and he needed me. And we were just emotionally just like, it's like when he really needed somebody to connect with on an emotional level. And it's like I got him and he got me.
Yeah.
And ever since, like, it was a friendship that grew. And we've been, ever since, like, we started dating in November.
2 days later, she was pregnant.
These things happen.
It wasn't really.
That's what they all say. Like, day November, engaged in March. We found out we were pregnant in April, which was funny because people were like, we got married. Like, it's like so many rumors because, like, the second time we had, like, oh, they're just hurrying up because she got pregnant. No, honey, that didn't happen. I got engaged. We were planning a wedding. April found out I was pregnant, which, you know what? I loved it because, I saw my daughter being the flower girl. Like, it was perfect. Everything was perfect. The way it was meant to be, exactly the way it was. So it was just, we've been separate, like, ever since we've been together. So
You guys are really together,
like, is anybody sweeter than Kurt Angle? Like, he's just so lovely.
Dude, he's the nicest.
Mother was going on and on about Kurt from the Rumble.
He's so
like, they sat down and they were talking, and he took a picture with my brother Ralphie, and Ralphie has Down syndrome, and he posted it, and he was like, me and my Olympic gold medalist. He was just so cute, and my mom was like, I love Kurt.
There goes the mom. See, your mom fell for it too. There you go. Okay.
What are some of Kurt's pet peeves? What are things that set him off?
Oh my gosh. What sets him off? It's so crazy. He has.
Me and Kim are like, oh, what sets off John?
I'm like, what doesn't set Randy off is what I'm thinking. The first thing I thought, Renee, was, thank God she didn't ask me this question.
I feel like I know the answer to that kind of already.
Yes, you do.
Everything. I bet you any money if you guys start talking about it's gonna pop.
You
right now, I don't know because he's so nice.
Yeah,
he'll do I swear to God, he'll do anything for anybody. He's so nice. Okay, I'm gonna tell you something. This is so funny, and I hope to God my dad doesn't hear this episode. Because my dad's Italian. He's just like me. We'll talk. So Kurt will be at the table, or my dad will talk his ear off, and Kurt will, like, his neck. He'll be doing this, like, his neck is hurting so bad, and I'll look at Kurt and I'm like, Kurt, go upstairs, and because he does, like, like the the chair that goes up, and he does his neck thing. I'm like, go upstairs and ice your neck, and he's like, babe, I don't want to, I don't want you to be rude to your dad. I'm like, go upstairs, like, go do your thing.
Tell him to stop for 5 minutes.
I was like, he's just so nice. And there's me, and I'm rude as hell. I would be
Randy would be like, to his father, my father, wouldn't matter who. He'd be like, listen, my neck's killing me. I'm going to go disappear for a little while. Like, he got no shame like that.
I can sympathize with Kurt with that, because I feel like my Canadianness shows during moments like that where I'm like, oh, all right, I'm in this. I'll sit and talk to someone at a party for like 2 hours, and I'm like, holy, get me out of this conversation. I do that shit
Hurts
all the time.
Especially when we're eating, and like, he's so freaking nice. He'll be eating, he'll have he'll be food in his mouth, and somebody will come up to him, like, hey, can I take a picture? Kurt be like, okay, hold on, and then just wiped off, and then Kurt's like, oh, he's in so much pain, he's getting up, and I was like, what are you doing? Tell him to come down and take a picture with you. And he'd be like, hey, is that okay if you come down and take a picture? He'd be like, yeah, sir. He's so nice. And then there's me. Like, that's why I come in. And
opposite.
He needs you to come in to be like,
I'm like, listen, can you come down and take a picture, or can you wait till he's done eating? And then there's me coming in. So it's just
good. No, he needs that.
He's so
like
sweet.
You said, things work out. You guys were meant to be together. It's
I'm stuck with him.
Yep. Yeah. Yes, you are. There he is.
You wouldn't want to be stuck anywhere else.
Oh.
Okay, Kim, give us the goods. Give us the Randy story. Give us
Come
your
on,
guys' romance story,
Kim.
because you are.
You know what's so funny? My son Michael just called me 5 minutes before I was trying to get on. And he's like, Mom, you forgot. He listened to the first episode and he goes, you forgot something. And I'm like, what did I forget? But I can't remember I can't remember like what I ate 2 days ago. So he's like, Ma, you don't remember the sign we made? So I made, so I feel like I've said this story. I met
Please tell me
Randy,
you
I took
kept
the
that
boys to the show.
Did you keep it?
I don't even know where it is.
You didn't keep the picture. You didn't keep.
I know.
How unsentimental of you, Kim.
I know. And meanwhile, like I have every card, I had every text, picture, everything. I have all of my stubs from every show I've ever been at. And I still have the tickets from the first night that I met him.
That's good. See, that's
Yeah.
good. Okay. You have something.
Printed on a paper. I have something.
Okay.
You got something.
But he was like, Mom, you forgot the story about how we went to the mall and we were making a big sign that said RKO my mom. I was like, you got to get him, Michael. Hold the sign up. Make him look over here.
That's why he said, I want to know all of that.
Yes. And I totally
but like,
forgot.
what was the moment of like what did you guys like make eye contact or something? Like you're in the crowd at a WWE show.
Yep.
Randy's out there.
Poughkeepsie Civic Center, tiny little spot in Poughkeepsie, New York, upstate. And homeboy walks out and he's doing the, Randy, I walk slower than anybody thing. And
the Randy swag.
He's walking and I see him like he looks and I'm like, and then, he's walking, he looks again. And I look at the lady next to me and then he goes in the ring and he keeps like turning back and I'm going, the lady goes, I think he keeps looking at you. And I'm like, oh my God, I think so too. I go, but I don't want to say anything. And I'm like, that's why I'm here. And so after that, I run to the barricade after his match is over. And I'm like, hello.
Here I am.
Look into my eyes. I know once we lock eyes, that's it. And he did the he's trying to be slick and he's taking pictures with everybody that's around me. And then finally he comes over and he's like, hey, do you want a picture? And I'm like, yeah. And we take a picture and then he was just like, what's your name? And I'm like, Kim. And he's like, well, I got to get to know all of this, Kim. He's like, do you live around here? And I'm like, yeah. He goes, do you want to meet me in the diner, in the Red Line Diner? And I was like, oh my God, that's my favorite diner. So bugged out, Renee. And Randy, he's not forward like that. He's more like to himself and hiding and shit.
Yes.
So I was like, oh my God. Right. And then I go to the back and is his name Scott, the security guard, little bit older, bald head?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So Scott came out and took my number and I gave him, and then he gave me Randy's number and then Randy texted me and he was like, I'm going to go meet me in the diner in an hour.
Did you die when he first texted you? You're like, shut the
It's like dry heaving. I was dying because I'm like literally nauseous because everybody that knew me knew I was in love with him. He was my past. I wanted to make out with him more than anything. I was like, he just looks, he's an April boy. I'm like Aries, like we're going to connect. And I just knew that once we made out, and this is what I told everyone in my family. I'm like, if we ever make out, he's going to fall in love with me. Take
that's
it easy.
A lot of pressure. Okay, so you guys meet at the diner. What happens at the diner?
We meet at the diner. He can't go in, so I go up on the bus and we're talking. And he's like, "Oh, who are you at the show with?" I tell him my boys, and he's like, "How many kids you have?" And I tell him 3. Now my youngest was 3 years old, right? And Alana was 5. And he's telling me about Alana and I'm telling him about the boys and this and that and this and that. And then probably like a good 40 minutes, we're just talking about everything, work and everything. And then, he goes, and he pushes my hair behind my ear. And I'll never forget this because I'm like, this is so like Missouri boy, because no boy from New York or man would have ever done this. But he like he pushes my hair behind my head and he goes, would you mind if I kissed you? I was like, no,
Okay, Disney prince.
I know. I know. So I think I fell in love with him at that moment.